right, welcome back to episode 2 of DIDiots. My name is Mateo. You are?
I'm Kid. I'm the primary protector of my system.
And today we are going to be talking about the DID drama in the whole community, what could have been done better, the impact of it, all that really fun stuff.
You know, Dahlia came up with the term DIDiot because of like a little bit of DID drama. It's like not anything that people, listening would have heard of. It was like very personal. It was like in our little DID niche.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, the term DIDiot, it all came from this whole thing where somebody who's a part of our little DID community was talking about how they were on like TikTok or something.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people who get fake claimed on like TikTok and all that stuff. And so like people who enjoyed fake claiming systems made like a subreddit. It was like called like
DID fakers?
No, DID idiots, I think.
Really?
And Dahlia, like, her thought was just like, that's a terrible name and a missed opportunity. They should have called them DIDiots. And that's where it came from. And then she never shared it with anybody outside of our system. But secretly in her head, she's like, this is the funniest thing I ever came up with.
That is amazing. I love that.
Yeah, luckily I think that Reddit doesn't exist anymore because like the person somebody from our community got put onto the Reddit. Sorry, that explains how it was relevant. And they found it and they're like, I'm reporting this, and like I think they got it taken down or something, but that's what it was.
Oh, wow. Well, that's good that they got it taken down.
Anyways, we're going to be talking about the public drama in the DID community, and like, oh my gosh, trigger warnings out, just out the window. Like,
oh yeah,
so many problems. Obviously we're going to be talking about like fake claiming. We're going to be talking about like Trisha Paytas, Anthony. We're going to be talking about like SA, suicidal ideation, just all the terrible stuff.
Yeah, so disclaimer, we are not mental health professionals. We just are two idiots with experience and research, and we really want to talk about our experience and the community's experience with this drama because I feel like it hasn't been talked about enough yet, and I think someone should really speak out about it.
And like somebody who's like, coming at this with we want this to be like better, as opposed to like, people who are just like in it to like consume like gossip, which like no shame if you want to consume gossip, but like this has really affected the DID community, especially like DID like on YouTube. Just like like the DID community on YouTube up until this drama started was like pretty like put together and like interwoven, and everyone was like friends with everybody. And it was just like a really cool time to learn about DID and like be a part of the DID community because everybody like seemed to care about each other. And then all of a sudden this broke out, and all of the like worst aspects of the DID community changed from like being like under the surface to being the norm, I would say. What do you think, Mateo? Like, is my assessment like accurate?
I would say it's very accurate. I also would like to put that no hate towards anyone mentioned in this video is condoned at all.
No, like even like people,
we're all humans.
Even people who like deserve criticism do not deserve hate in this situation. Honestly, a lot of them, most of the people I would say associated with this were people who were like just trying to do their best, and it just went horribly, horribly wrong.
Yeah.
And then there are like a few people who are like, still like currently problematic or something like that. But like, nobody deserves hate. If somebody is acting out, it usually means that there's something wrong going on under the surface.
Yeah.
And bringing them hate is not going to make anything better. So while like civil criticizing of people is like okay, do not go around harassing people. Try to be as cordial as possible when interacting with people. Don't fake claim them. Don't do anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, treat people the way you want to be treated, all that kind of stuff. You know, just getting like revenge on people, even if it's like minor, just by like being rude to them, it's not going to make anything better.
Yeah.
And we hope that like us coming together and then like talking about what things could have been done better, I hope will help our community.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and we're also going to be giving
too.
we're also going to be giving constructive criticism throughout this for both the people involved, ourselves, and the community as a whole. So we are going to be a little judgmental, I guess you could say, but we're not sending any hate. We do not condone any hate. We just want to bring constructive criticism to the table so that hopefully things can kind of build off of that and better themselves, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was something that I wanted to say and it completely went out of my brain.
It's okay. This is obviously a very stressful topic for a lot of people, and I think that's part of the reason why no one really talks about it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people who do talk about it are not members of the community.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
singlets have no dog in the game, so like, you know, so like they can talk about it till like they're blue in the face and like they'll still be like fine.
Yeah.
For the most part. I feel like this is a good enough disclaimer.
Yeah,
Before
probably.
we should probably get into it.
Yeah. Do you want to start by kind of talking about our own like personal experiences with the situation, or?
Yeah, like I guess showing how it affected real individuals might be helpful.
Yeah.
Because you know, anecdotal evidence, it's not like like real evidence, but it gives you an idea. It can be very helpful nonetheless, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
Just that way I won't be talking over you like I feel like I have been.
No, you're good.
So, like as I stated before, it was like a really like cool thing to be a part of the DID community before just like everything just started going wrong. It was like you know, you could learn a lot and like there was a lot of people and they're all like friends with each other. And so like it was just like wow, I feel part of like a community, and like I was excited to like learn more about, you know, our disorder and things like that. And it was just like it was like the first time that I saw like other people who were like me, were like my system, talking about DID. Like up to this point, the only time I've ever like heard about DID was in like media, and like they are like 40 years behind.
Yeah.
You know, they still use terms like multiple personality disorder and split personality disorder, and it's just like so some people just like straight up say it's a personality disorder, which in itself is just not accurate.
Yeah.
And like you learning about who you are or what you are from people who are not like you, it'll always give you an incomplete picture.
Yeah.
But learning about it from other people who are like you know, it helps a lot.
Mhm.
And then, it all, the whole thing started with like Anthony Padilla, and it was like super cool to like see this, big YouTuber who has a lot of influence, just talk to other systems and platform them and bring it in front of like, singlets, now singlets get to hear it from our perspective and like get it put in their face, like, well, like, if you're like looking it up on YouTube, you're only gonna like find DID content if you're looking for it.
Yeah.
And then like everything just like happened afterwards, and then it was just like, I felt like if you supported one person, that you were actively taking a stand against another. And it's just like, it felt hostile. And like up to this point, we decided that the best way of handling it is to just not engage with DID content at all. And like, it left us feeling like a disconnect between us and our community. Suddenly we're isolated all over again. And then like, because we like consumed DID content in the past, we kept getting it recommended to us, and it was just like, I don't want to hear about people that I used to care about fighting.
Yeah.
And it like
Yeah.
made it so that we really couldn't engage with DID on YouTube or even like DID anywhere except for our very specific, DID like niche, our specific little community.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's basically how it affected us. We kind of like isolated to protect ourselves
Yeah.
from like people that should be our peers.
Mhm.
How about you, Mateo? I think I'm done.
I know for us, we were going through a lot at the time. Our family didn't believe us, and we were struggling to kind of find information on DID, and kind of how we should help ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we had known about Dissociated because our friend had known about them and was sending us videos of them. And we were off of the internet for the first like 2 months of the drama. But when we got back, it was very confusing. You get back after a period of hardship and you just kind of want to find people that you understand, that you relate to, and who won't judge you for experiencing things that other people don't understand. And then all of it was just going to hell. And it was kind of a situation where it was just one more thing to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we had a few splits from it, and that obviously isn't good in itself. And I think the more it progressed, the more we felt forced to pick a side when we never wanted to. And there never should have been a side to pick, because it should have been united. And it just felt like a situation. It was like the Civil War kind of situation. That's the best way I can describe it. It's just like everything went to hell, and now suddenly you're forced to pick a side. And there's so much information out there that you don't know if it's right or wrong anymore, and you are.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Could you stop for a moment? Hi. It was fine. I finally got the one thing to get through. I'm talking with somebody. You talked later. Sorry, that was my mom.
No problem.
I interrupted your wonderful
my testimonial.
I knew you were getting emotional.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
We'll just cut that out.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like if they like the audience notices like a cut when we cut something out, like, they'll like be nice to you because it's obvious you're emotional.
Yeah.
Okay. So
where was I? I was talking about The Civil War,
Like how
yeah.
you, the Civil War, felt like you had to pick a side when it was like people you cared about.
Yeah, it felt like I was forced to pick a side. It was also, there was just so much information from so many different people, from people who were claiming to know dissociated in person. There were people who claimed to have known them from Facebook. There were people who actually did know them. And it was like, it was so confusing. You know, you have to do so much of your own research in order to get the right information. And that's so exhausting. And it was trying, it was, you know, it was just one more trauma of, on top of more trauma that we were dealing with at the time. And I think it went on, and it's still going on for 2 years now. And
Oh my gosh, it has been 2 years.
yeah, and it's just
Feels
kind of
like
a situation where it's like the one safe place that I thought I had also got wrecked.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was just, I don't think words can describe how much of an emotional roller coaster it put us through.
yeah,
So that's kind of,
yeah,
I guess, where we stand.
yeah. You're right. I just noticed, like, when you were talking, that it seemed like the whole community just kind of turned against one person too.
Yeah.
That's so
And
strange.
it was so annoying because I think people like us who are kind of on the outside but in the community,
Mhm.
it felt like we were so almost blindsided or very lost. We were kind of just, we were just being led into a war basically with no information as to what was really going on.
And and that was like somebody who's like here for, I don't know. I was in the community for like, I don't know. I've been in it for like 5 years now, I think.
Oh, okay.
And so I was there the whole time. I feel so bad for people who are just, getting into the community, trying to find things, and then immediately, instead of seeing supportive, wonderful um, things, educating people, it's just, oh, you have to, you know, I imagine that some people might deny their own diagnosis, or like, deny their own symptoms, um, just because they're like afraid to be involved with other
Yeah.
systems.
Yeah, I know. There was definitely, when the divide kind of happened with the community, there was definitely a feeling of wanting to be as far away from the community and therefore my disorder as possible, just so that I didn't have to relate to it.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess we should talk about what the drama is actually, like what it
Yeah.
actually is. So we're just gonna we will go over as much of it as possible. I'm pretty sure there's definitely something that we're forgetting, but we're only two people, and
That's so much time to plan this.
so much. Yeah, it was very spontaneous, to be honest. But that seems to be our thing now, Mateo. Like you just
Yeah.
come in, you're like, hey, you want to record? And we're like, sure. Like,
I'm
that's
sorry.
fine.
I'm very spontaneous.
No, I like it. I think it's kind of fun. Well,
Yeah.
not in this case, but usually,
Yeah.
like, we could
It's
be
usually
talking
a good
about
stress reliever.
Spider-Man right now,
Yeah.
but we're
Go
gonna be
listen
talking
to
about
our other,
probably the hardest topic in DID at the moment.
yeah, if you want something more lighthearted, go listen to our last podcast.
Yeah, you'll be dealing with Dahlia, and she's much more chipper than I am.
We'll talk about so many fun things in there. don't want to spoil it for you.
It's also a bit of a waffle, so if you like just hearing random people talk about things, go watch that. You don't have to deal with this, but for those people who want to know what's going on, we'll try to explain it to the best of our abilities.
Mhm.
Just acknowledge that there might be a margin of error.
Yes.
All right. So
There is definitely someone around the front
I
right
think you
now.
can make arguments that starts at different points, but for us personally, like me and Mateo both kind of agreed that it all starts with Anthony Padilla.
Mm-hmm. And not in a bad way necessarily.
What?
I said not in a bad way necessarily.
Yeah, it like the thing about the Anthony Padilla video, in case you don't know, Anthony Padilla, he's probably one of like the biggest names on YouTube. He was like one half of Smosh and then kind of like became his own thing. And like he made like sketch videos, but at some point he found his niche and like talking to like communities, like people from communities.
Yeah.
Like I think he like talked to like some like I know he talked to like Jake Paulers once, which was a really funny video actually. He talked to like furries. He talked to like other kids. They're like really interesting videos, and if you want to like learn about other people's perspectives or at least find like a jumping off point to learn about different communities, they were like pretty good videos. In fact, I think the video itself is like pretty good, but at some point he decided to talk to a few systems and talk about DID, what it is, and like kind of just some general stuff. And I want to be very clear, because if you like find any videos talking about the drama, it'll make it seem like it's just an interview with this one system that's like on YouTube called Dissociated. There was like 3 or 4 systems they were talking to.
Yeah.
And I feel like people like forget that. And I don't know why, but that always bothered me.
Yeah, and one of the systems I really related with, and so to see them kind of like not get as much light, it's annoying because I think the majority of the reason that Dissociated kind of became so famous on that was because of the drama.
Yeah, and because another person we'll be talking about later specifically stated them by name. But first, let's just talk about the video. It was a really decent video. And like, if it wasn't for the fact that it's so heavily associated with this drama, I would recommend it. But I think you're going to deal with a lot of other stuff if you do engage with it. So if you're not in a place for that, just like avoid it.
Yeah. Okay.
But like, so it started out with something positive. And then Trisha Paytas got involved, the famous troll of the internet.
Yeah.
Lover, hater. I guess them actually. They're like non-binary, I think.
Yep.
And
just
like,
recently came out.
Yeah, they fairly recently came out, like sometime last year. And just to be clear, I am not a fan of this individual, but I still think it's inappropriate to not take their word on their gender identity. Because like, I know that some people think that if somebody is unforgivably like rude, disrespectful, violent, whatever, that they don't deserve respect. And just like, if it's a trans person, respect their gender identity. Because if it's a cis person, you wouldn't be misgendering them.
Yeah.
So like,
valid point.
So like, we're gonna respect their gender identity, because that's
if we accidentally misgender, it's not intentional.
I think technically if I use she, her pronouns, it's not misgendering, but because like they use she, her pronouns in combination with they, them pronouns, but I'm gonna just like stick to they, them because it's just simpler that way.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I just know about the they them part. So
that's just a little disclaimer. We're going to be talking about the famous troll of the internet. Yeah, they came out at some point saying that they think they had well, actually, I guess it wasn't they think they had DID. They came out with a video called Meet My Alters, I think, which was like, you know, it was like a trend that was popular among DID YouTube, where like people would try to get as many of their alters as they can to introduce themselves in a single video.
yeah.
And then some people decided that was really hard to coordinate, because it is. As a person with DID, I can say for sure that whenever I watched those videos, I just got tired just looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did this video called Meet My Alters, in which they said they have DID, and then they said a bunch of stuff that was just not accurate about DID. And
yeah, it was very I do kind of want to point this out. The information that was put out was more of, this is how I feel, rather than this is what DID is. It's just how it was formatted wasn't very good. But I think they were intending to be more of like my experience rather than DID experience.
They were, but they also did things like say that I either have DID, MPD, or both, and it says like, it's things like that. Personally, okay, I have no problem with Trisha Paytas coming out and saying, I think I have DID, here's my experience. I know that there are people on the internet that like are very picky when it comes to self-diagnosis, but like saying you think you have DID is not going to give you DID. I'm sorry. It's not like depression or anxiety where you can develop it at any point in your life. If you think you have DID, like, and it turns out you don't, you're not going to trick your brain into thinking you have DID, like, and then trick your brain into giving yourself DID, because that's just not how DID works.
DID is so complex. It's something that your brain couldn't fathom unless it was actually doing it.
Well, I mean, like, I'm not going to say that Trisha Paytas does or doesn't have DID, but like, I know that like some people who have disorders like BPD, I could imagine them getting confused and thinking that they have DID. And it's actually not that uncommon for people who have DID to have BPD, because they're both trauma-based disorders. And so like I don't know, DID is always comorbid with something, and one of the things that it's always comorbid with is complex PTSD, sorry. And so like, and it's often comorbid with like depression, anxiety, but that wasn't my point anyways. I can understand how people could be confused and think they have DID when they don't, but thinking they have DID is not gonna like ruin their lives if they find out they don't have it, you know what I mean? And like, you know, misdiagnosis, that kind of thing, it's all part of the process. Like, it's not great. I don't recommend trying to get a misdiagnosis, but like, if you get misdiagnosed, it's not the end of the world. Like, I don't know, just try to figure it out. But my point was, go ahead.
The most like misdiagnosis does, outside of it really depends on this disorder. I know for me, being misdiagnosed with other things that are commonly misdiagnosed with DID, it has affected me in the sense that it's just annoying having treatment, like good treatment stalled.
Yeah, it's like also like infuriating because like oftentimes the misdiagnosis when it comes to DID is you explain your symptoms, they line up with DID, and them going like, well, that's rare, so here's another disorder. It just kind of like is blatantly disrespectful,
Mm-hmm.
and like that can affect you emotionally because it's like you're trying to explain what you have and they're just not listening
Yeah.
because of their biases. But like, that's his own conversation. We're talking about Trisha Paytas. My point is, one of the things that really sucks about the Trisha Paytas situation that nobody's like talking about is everybody's talking about the fact that people widely believe that they faked having DID when that
Mm-hmm.
was not the problem with the video.
Yeah.
The problem was, they said things like MPD and MPD and DID are two separate things. They're not.
Or that alters can die. Yeah.
Or that alters can die. Even I had less of a problem with that because like that could be how your brain rationalizes integration, but people still don't like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
there was a lot of weird things, like little things that like are weird about the video, but like I can like see as like, oh, they're just trying to like explain their experience and they're not technically like impossible for people with DID. But like the most part is that people explain, hey, you put misinformation into this video. That sucks. Can you not?
Yeah.
um and then they just took it and ran with it and they like decided that that was harassment. But then at the same time, people's reaction to that video was also completely uncalled for.
Yeah.
Like, it was just bad on all sides.
Yeah, it was definitely a situation that was like, it felt so, because Trisha Paytas is so big on the internet, it felt
And
like,
controversial.
yeah, it felt like, whoa, we haven't been in this situation yet. What do we do type thing? Because DID before Trisha Paytas and Anthony Padilla was for the most part not really hugely heard of.
Yeah. So people decided, as a mass, as whole, decided that the problem with the video wasn't the misinformation. It wasn't the fact that that like they were unbothered by how they were misunderstanding dissociative identity disorder. Like they didn't acknowledge that like calling a mentally ill woman crazy is really disrespectful and is basically a slur when applied to a person who is mentally ill.
Yeah.
It wasn't any of that. They decided that it was the fact that they were doing DID wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to laugh. It's just like, that was basically it. It's like, no, Trish is lying. Trish is a faker. It doesn't matter if she's faking. That's not the point. And most people miss the point.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the people who did miss the point was also Anthony, which is bad because he has a big platform.
Yeah.
And like his girlfriend at the time, they might be still together. I don't keep up with Anthony. Also was like, also missed the point, also had a big platform. It was just really exhausting. And it pissed me off, but what could I do? I had no platform,
Yeah.
I
Anthony
didn't want to like
Padilla.
get myself involved, but like how people reacted, because once again, Anthony took away the idea that Trisha was faking and like was actually mocking people with DID, which I mean, like, after the backlash, they definitely were mocking people with DID.
Yeah.
And then like the only person with a platform that actually like had their priorities straight was Dissociated, who was the person that Trisha called crazy and then refused to apologize for her because apparently, you know,
Yeah.
I guess it's because like when you're like friends with somebody and you call them crazy, it's like, yeah, you're crazy, you know what I mean? Like that's fine. When you and then you can call yourself crazy and like that's fine. That's not even controversial. And so like Trisha decided that since they can call their friends crazy, they can call their, you know, they can call themselves crazy. Why can't I call a mentally ill woman who is advocating on behalf of the mentally ill? Why can't I call, you know, them crazy, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, you can't.
Yeah.
And like they were
And
like so kind. They were like trying to go in and be like, hey, here's the misinformation. They didn't claim that Trisha was lying about their own experience. They were so kind and nice. And then like Trisha decided to like just start a war with them.
yeah.
And it was really weird because it was a very one-sided war. Because after that video, Dissociated never really brought it up again.
Yeah, Dissociated took a break from that situation.
Yeah, a break. Due to a lot of factors, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just like taking up the whole thing.
No, you're the information is good. So
Yeah, I also feel like my brain is like going everywhere except where it should be, but whatever, it's fine. So,
yeah.
and
I
that's
do
basically, yeah, go ahead.
I do want to say this because it might sound a little harsh, and I don't mean it in a harsh way, but I think at the time we needed people in the community to speak out. Anthony Padilla, regardless of his video, was not in the community, and I don't think he had a place to say anything to Trisha Paytas. And I mean that with all the respect in the world. I just think that it
I
the
agree.
pot more.
Not only was he not a part of the community, he accidentally, I don't think he did it on purpose. I think it was totally unmalicious, but he accidentally perpetuated problems that were in the underbelly of the community.
Yeah.
Because before Anthony's video, one of the main things that I noticed that all the YouTubers, the DID YouTubers were talking about was don't fake claim people. It doesn't help. It makes everything worse. There was never a situation where fake claiming somebody benefits anything. Never.
Yeah.
Like they could be faking, they could be the biggest liar ever. Doesn't help.
It doesn't do anything.
There was actually a video that I really liked at the time that I also felt like was kind of along the same lines as Dissociated's video that I felt like was helpful, was productive. And that was like the entropy systems video on hey, if you have DID and you relate to some of the things that Trisha Paytas talked about and was going through, that doesn't mean you're invalid, even if she is.
Yeah, I really like that video.
That was a really good video. And then entropy attacked Dissociated, did not stand by them. Yeah. And that was just really disappointing. It was like between like the two of them, between Dissociated and Entropy System, I would say that Entropy System was probably my favorite like go-to DID YouTuber. I found a lot of their alters very comforting. Like, I don't know, I just liked them. I thought they were very nice people, you know? And then it just sucked to see but like I still liked Dissociated, and I think she was a victim in this whole debacle, and it just really sucked too.
Yeah, and I think well,
yeah, go ahead.
when Dissociated, after they made the video reacting to Trisha Paytas' video, a lot of, I think it was the entropy system, fragmented psyche, and multiplicity in me. I could be wrong about multiplicity in me, but I know for sure fragmented psyche. They made a collaboration supporting Dissociated.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah, and that was really cool. But then, like, I don't know, probably not even a month later, they were attacking Dissociated, and it made it very confusing, to say the least.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure about multiplicity and me attacking anybody. I could be wrong. Maybe they did. But I think like multiplicity and me exited the drama as soon as they could.
Yeah, I think they did. I think they didn't. Well, I mean, we'll get to that in a bit, actually. So
yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. But you know who did talk about it? A bunch of singlets.
yeah.
Sorry, I got a little sassy, but this is something that has not gone away.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy. It makes a lot of my my alters actively uncomfortable, but it just makes me angry. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be frank. Singlets, you gotta stop.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're a person who has DID and you want to talk about it, I fully support you, even if you disagree with me. But the singlets have got to get out of our fucking business.
Yeah. And it is annoying because there are more singlets talking about it right now than systems.
Yeah, and some of them are just platforming very disrespectful people who think it's okay to go around saying, hey, this person's a fucking faker and a liar because like whatever. They're driving me insane. I'm sorry. You gotta stop.
Yeah. And some of them are like Granddad's Lounge, for example, when he goes over things, he is very sarcastic with what is going on, and I found it very insensitive.
I remember that somebody, I don't remember who, I didn't watch the video, I heard about it from the grapevine, and it was so fucking, it was actually really gross, where somebody accused Dissociated of faking, and the logic behind it was, you know, since they were dating another system, which we'll get to them later, that's their own topic, but they were dating another system, they had a partner system. They went out and they decided that actually one of them was a real system and the other one was a person with a DID fetish. And I was just like, this is gross.
Yeah, that is.
I mean, like, I don't know. I noticed that people who are like neurotypical, they don't have any like neurological disorders, they don't have any mental disorders. They're really weird about two people with mental illnesses dating each other.
They
it's
really
just like,
are.
You know, two people can just like each other. And fun fact, if they both have like depression, anxiety, DID, like with those two, it could be that like it's finally someone who like understands them.
Yeah. And you know, birds of a feather tend to group together, you know?
Yeah. You know, like it's like the same thing with like how like people who are gay have a bunch of like gay friends. It's because they relate to each other. They understand their experience. And like people who understand each other, they tend to be friends.
Yeah.
And it's just like really weird that you would fetishize, because I mean like implying that is fetishizing people with DID.
Yeah, I think the word fetish has been overused a lot because a lot of people have said that Dissociated has a fetish for like being different people, if that makes any sense. And it's just very
if I
weird.
may say, so what if they do? Leave them alone.
Yeah. And honestly, bringing anything like that,
people. unless their
Yeah.
kink is like murdering other people. And like also it's kind of like similar to like people who saying trans women have a fetish. It's like, oh, you think it's, you know, sexy, the idea of like being a woman. It's like, what is a woman supposed to fantasize being? It's the same thing to me, because it's like, yeah, a person with DID is going to fantasize being a person with DID in their fantasies, because that's just what they are.
Yeah, that's what they know.
And it's just like, I don't know. I just genuinely, it just like, leave this person alone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had to publicly just like hear a famous person, you know, use a ableist slur against them on the internet in public.
Yeah.
People,
And
you know, anyways, yeah, let's keep going.
Dissociated does have a 4-hour long video talking about their side of the drama. So I would recommend anyone listening to this to go watch that and to get their perspective on everything.
I tried to find it. I couldn't find it.
Oh, it's on their channel. It's
I
a
tried
Zoom
finding
call.
their channel. Honestly, when you like Google their channel, or not Google their channel, like find it on YouTube, you get a lot of like stuff that's like not them. It's weird.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Whenever I look it up, probably because I'm subscribed to them, whenever I look it up, it automatically comes up.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe we can link the video in this podcast.
I can link the video.
That way people can go directly to it.
Yeah, that'll be helpful. I think the next thing we're going to talk about is the kind of the drama between the entropy system and dissociated. Just really generally the drama between most of the systems and dissociated.
Yeah.
Let's just start in on that.
Well, I think like part of what happened, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really sure where you're going with this. I'm going to let you lead right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure I'll be able to catch up like when you're like explaining it, but I'm not really sure where we are in the timeline.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right.
So like I said before, a few systems made a collaboration supporting dissociated. When dissociated went offline because of their mental health, the entropy system publicly called them out per se, saying
I remember
that,
this.
Yeah, saying that
isn't it like they were like taking a break because, you know, of like harassment and involving like 2 different situations. We'll get to the other situation later. And then like, okay, we're taking a break, and then entropy system's like, why aren't they speaking out? Is that it? That was rude. I
Yeah, so basically the entropy system, the entropy system said their post about their mental health and why they were taking a break was to upset the trolls, and then also said that they left at an inconvenient time and that the community needed them and they just left. And this is kind of
really disappointing. Yeah, I remember that. I remember hearing that, and I was just so disappointed in them.
Yeah, there was also a live stream that the entropy system did where they did say that Dissociated was playing it up for the camera on Anthony Padilla's video, which I have a whole separate problem with.
Yeah, I have a major problem with. I think I know why they said that, but the reason why they said that does not make it acceptable. Entropy system notoriously was very uncomfortable with switching on camera, which good for them. You have boundaries and you're respecting your boundaries. That's fantastic. And like, but you can't shame people for showing their symptoms, especially when the symptoms is like them switching. Like, you switching is not going to hurt anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
It's not like where you're like expressing your symptoms and your system is to like snap and yell at people or something. This is like switching on camera in a video about educating people about DID.
Yeah, and a lot of people were confused about one of Dissociated's Little's fronting during the Anthony Padilla video. During the whole video, I sensed, like, just in their voice and stuff like that, I could kind of tell that there was someone else around that was probably younger.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that it happened. You know, littles can get so curious over the most randomest things.
Yeah.
So it's just not a situation that I think can be easily fake claimed, because I think, at least from my point of view, it made a lot of sense to me.
It's easy to fake claim if you just hate people with DID, but that's a different topic.
That's true. Yeah, but what the entropy system said, I think, was very unsupportive, and it was very
disrespectful.
Yeah, it was very condescending as well.
Yeah.
And I think the entropy system was so big in the community. I would say, Multiplicity and me and the entropy system were up there with Dissociated, and having them.
I was just gonna say, once again, I really liked the entropy system. I thought they were like really cool.
Yeah,
I
just
thought they were just like a cool person, and I liked their alters. I thought their alters were really chill and kind of, they seem like the kind of person you'd want to like hang out with, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
they also had some really good videos and very informative videos and stuff.
They had a fun editing style. They were just like really cool, you know what I mean? But like they're also humans, so like it makes sense that like eventually they would do something that would disappoint me, but I was hoping it would be like more minor than like essentially going against everything they preach.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I wanted to head towards, is that I think there was, it was emotional. The entire situation was emotional. There was so much going on. We had the Anthony Padilla video. There was hate coming in from that video. There was, seriously, the DID community went from nothing to everything within literally a day.
And then it fell apart the very next day.
Yeah, and it was very emotional, and I understand how that is. And I think everyone needed to take a step away. I know that sounds kind of like
everyone should have taken a break, to be honest.
Yeah, I know that sounds, I don't want to sound like, just abandon everyone, but I think everyone should have taken a break. I think I respect Dissociated for taking a break in that moment. And I think it would have been good for other systems
if they stayed.
Yeah, I think it would have been good for other systems to also take a break. And I'm not saying that in like a you failed miserably kind of way. I just think
I wasn't taking it that way at all.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, but like it was, it was just such emotional situation. I think I understand why people were so snappy, and how everything from past situations was just kind of like suddenly like, well, you did this and you did that and this and this and this and this. And it's, I understand. I do that sometimes. But
when you do it, you're not a public person on the
and you don't have influence over quite a few people.
We have influence over approximately 5 people so far.
7. I have 7 subscribers on my other channel.
Oh, exciting.
I know I was literally talking about that in the video today, but anyways, so
special.
I think it would have been good for them to kind of take a step back, and because it's one thing for people to be like, hey, sorry, I just can't deal with this right now, we're taking a step back, versus people being like, here is all of my shit that I've been bottling up just dumped on you.
Yeah.
It's like they're both not probably the best ideas, but one is most definitely obviously better than the other.
Yeah, they probably honestly should have kept it off online. I mean, yeah, kept it offline.
Yeah.
Because I think, like, didn't, like, Entropy System, like, apologize after, like, talking with Dissociated?
I know they took the tweet down that they made.
I think they, like, replaced it with a tweet that was like, hey, we talked, and I apologize.
Okay.
So, like, yeah,
Yeah.
they just talked.
I know it was a very weird situation.
You're supposedly, like, maybe not friends, but, like, you're coworkers. You have worked together.
Yeah.
Be professional. I don't know.
Yeah. And it was a very weird situation. I think the Entropy System might have had some
break
and maybe some hard feelings against Dissociated, because I know in the 4-hour video that Dissociated made, they did mention that they had kind of set a boundary with the Entropy System, saying that they wanted a more professional friendship rather than a personal friendship.
Yeah.
And I sometimes wonder if maybe that was kind of like, kind of fueled the situation, you know?
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. And then going on to kind of Multiplicity and Me and what's happening there. Multiplicity and Me basically blamed Dissociated for stealing a spot on the Anthony Padilla show.
What does that even mean?
So Multiplicity and Me initially got the the spot.
So, like, Dissociated replaced Multiplicity and Me on the lineup.
Well, so what happened was that Multiplicity and Me initially had it, but Anthony Padilla did not realize that Multiplicity and Me was from the UK, and so he didn't have the funds to fly someone out from the UK. So Multiplicity and Me and Anthony Padilla's work people were working together to find someone in America who
and then they found another British person.
Yeah, but so what happened from Dissociated's story part is that both Multiplicity and Me and Dissociated got the offer at the same time.
Okay.
So
did, I guess, Dissociated had the funds to do it themselves?
Yeah, it sounds like that was the case, because Dissociated also did mention that they were like financially kind of sunk after that because they paid for it. So it was kind of this situation where it was like, it was another one of those situations where
this is so petty.
Yeah, it is kind of petty. It was kind of a situation where it's like,
this is not like the Entropy System thing at all, where it was like very much like Entropy System was in the wrong. This one I can kind of see it from Multiplicity and Me's perspective, but it was petty and should have stayed offline.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Dissociated also
I imagine this could be like an angry tweet, like, oh, I see, you could get this person from the UK, but like, I imagine this could be patched up pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I think getting Anthony Padilla involved in that would have been good, rather than making a whole post on Twitter being like, hey, so this happened. And the other thing that kind of confused me with that was that Multiplicity and Me said in their, I think it was on Twitter, they said in their post that they didn't want this to become drama. Yeah. And it was so confusing. Like, what do you expect when literally everything is gone to hell and it is drama right now, you know?
Yeah. And like, honestly, it's not a big enough deal to be something more than drama.
Yeah.
It's like so minor that it could only be drama.
Yeah. And it's one of those situations where it's like the Entropy System said this, and then now Multiplicity and Me decide to say this, and then leading on to Bobo and Co decide to say this, and then axolotls in a trench coat said that. And it's like, it was like a domino effect.
Yeah.
Like one person said something and then suddenly everyone had all these problems that could have been resolved personally. And that's the other thing that I want to say is that if you have something that can be resolved personally, do not bring it onto the internet, especially for a bunch of mentally ill people to see.
Yes.
This isn't a community of people who are, they can join forces because they like Star Wars. This is literally a community of people who have been through trauma and they don't want to deal with your bullshit.
Absolutely. I know exactly what you mean. Honestly, that's the biggest problem with this whole thing is it's not like if these things were applied to something, like all of these things, like all these accusations were applied to things that were like, Star Wars, like as you said, it would be bad, but it's significantly worse because this is a community of people who are mentally ill, who are not really respected by the wider society, and who have nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
Because people with DID, like, we're like, people genuinely believe that DID is a trope in a movie, and that's it. There are people who genuinely believe that. Where are people who actually have DID supposed to go?
Yeah.
And like be open and honest about themselves. Because like, even if someone, supposedly like supports you with air quotes, it doesn't mean that they are like, comfortable with you. Because like there are people who are like, oh, I understand and support you, but don't switch around me. Only be you around me. What does that even mean? And the thing is, I could say, what does that even mean? Because like I have a basic understanding of what my disorder is. And like it's just like it's just bad,
Yeah. And I know reading a lot of this drama back in the past, it was like there's so much going on right now. There's misinformation being spread. There's people being hurt. There's confusion. All of you guys just brought DID into publicity. And there are thousands of people who did not want that and did not choose that, but you just dragged us into it inherently. Own up to it. And I'm not saying you can't take breaks, you can't take care of your mental health, but do not bring any more petty drama into it because you need to stand up for the people who can't stand up for themselves because you were the ones who brought them into this.
Yeah.
I think it's so much different having a perspective of, in the past, I would kind of dissociate from the situation and act like I did have a voice, but the truth is that I didn't, and it hurts. And actually getting down to the core of it, it was frustrating. It was very aggravating to have to just stand by and know that my entire world was essentially hanging off of the cliff, and it was either a make it or break it moment. And I still don't know if it's going to break or if it's going to make it.
And the people who like do have a voice, they're not helping.
Yeah.
And it's screwing over ordinary people like you and I.
Yeah. I'm getting a little heated now.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. Once again, we can take a break at any time.
Yeah, I'm good for now, but I think I just like everything just hit me at once and I was like, oh, this is my life.
Yeah, for some reason in my head, I was like, dissociative must have done something to warrant this. Like, shouldn't deserve the amount of backlash, but maybe she deserves some backlash. But it's just like, they didn't.
Yeah.
It's just.
And the thing is that everyone makes mistakes, and especially people with dissociative identity disorder, it's hard. Like, keeping relationships is extremely difficult. Maintaining relationships is extremely difficult. Being attached to reality is like impossible. And it's one of those situations where it's like, I understand that there is hurt, like personally between these groups, but you have to understand that you all are part of the same disorder that is debilitating. And the chances of someone getting hurt is high, and you can't bring that onto the internet unless it's like a situation where they severely hurt someone to the point where they need to, like a predator type situation. Yeah. But that's not the situation. It's just, you know, they were, you know, a little bit annoying at the sleepover.
You know, they participated in a collaboration and were called crazy, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And then, and then of course there was the system they were dating. Do you want to get into that now?
Yeah, we probably should get into that, Team Pinata.
Because we've been kind of dancing around the situation.
Yeah. Let's avoid it at all costs.
It's so exhausting. Because I'm gonna be real, I have very conflicting feelings about this. Like, I understand why people would be incredibly upset by this. And I understand why people would think it's stupid.
Yeah.
At the same time. And honestly, it's a situation that is just completely exhausting. No matter what. Okay.
It was.
So.
You can lead this because I hate this topic.
I don't want to lead this, but I guess I will.
Okay.
So Dissociative was dating another system who was also a pretty substantial person in the DID YouTube space. They went by like Jeremy for a while because the alter that was making the videos was a young man named Jeremy. I still kind of love Jeremy. They're innocent in this whole situation. Poor Jeremy. That's the real victim of the situation, is Jeremy. But they decided that more alters in the system were going to participate in the videos and things like that. And so they changed their name from Jeremy to Team Pinata. Yeah. I'm stalling, if you can't tell. So
do you want me to lead?
No, I got this. Okay. The host was a individual named Nan, and Nan is, I assume they still are, a artist. And you know, they were an artist. I don't know what else to say. And they were in a relationship with the host of Dissociative's system.
Yep.
And Nan did a bad. They did a very big bad. I'm sorry for being so goofy. It's just such an uncomfortable topic.
Yeah, you kind of have to be goofy to get through it.
They drew artwork of people sneezing. See, this is why it's so ridiculous. But it was fetish art that was sneezing.
And some of it was child porn, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say necessarily child porn, but like it depicted children sneezing. And the sneezing was a fetish. So it's adjacent to child porn.
Yeah.
Because I feel like legally it's not actually child pornography, because in order for it to be legally considered child pornography, it has to be depicting
explicitly
a real child. No, not explicitly. It doesn't have to be explicit, but it has to be a real child.
Yeah, and some of these artworks, a lot of people were saying not necessarily children, but just underage people, which could have been 16.
One of them was Jeremy. That's all I know. And Jeremy was very uncomfortable. That's why Jeremy's the real victim in this situation.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, poor Jeremy. Jeremy is forever associated with Nan, who got called out for drawing sneeze fetish porn. And for some reason, instead of targeting Nan, which, I mean, Nan did get a lot, people decided that since Dissociative was dating this person, that they were complicit, which I just disagree with on the highest degree. Every time I hear this, all I can think of is like how people treated Ted Bundy's wife, who like famously didn't know her husband was a serial murderer.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, how do you not know? I don't know. Maybe because she wasn't murdering people. And that's how I feel.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can go without knowing about a person.
And it's like, also, like, in a normal circumstances, someone making fetish art is not that big of a deal. The problem was some of the people who were depicted sneezing were like kids. Nan, I believe, made the argument that it was supposed to be not sexy but like cute, which like maybe I have not seen the artwork, but like people are not having it.
I've seen some of the artwork and it's uncomfortable to say the least.
Well, I mean, that's just fetish art in general.
Yeah.
Like, it can be technically done very well, but it's still just like, you know, that's still just a fat Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
I'm so uncomfortable, and that's why I'm making these dumb jokes.
Do you want me to start in?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I don't think Team Pinata is really on YouTube anymore. I think that like ended their career. Yeah, I tried looking into it, and same thing with Dissociated's videos. All I get is videos about how Team Pinata drew fetish porn.
Yeah, they're completely off the internet now.
They are, okay.
Yeah.
So there you go.
But
and I don't blame them. Imagine being shamed for making fetish porn.
Well, some people came out, and I can't obviously say whether or not this is true. I was not there, and I'm not gonna, I don't take a side in this situation. However, there is there's
accusations. You're just gonna state what they are.
Yeah, that Team Pinata was grooming some people online in the past. So I know there was a lot of uproar about that.
Actually, I think I do remember this now, but I just blocked it out because it's just like, look, at best it's cringy, at worst it's borderline illegal. I don't think any of this is technically illegal, but it's borderline.
Yeah, and I think Fragmented Psyche in relation to Dissociated was saying that Dissociated was messaging Fragmented Psyche and asking if they would ever consider befriending Team Pinata again and stuff like that. The thing is that when you're in a relationship with someone, you're in love with them. It's significantly harder to process the idea that someone is not a good person when you're so in love with them,
Absolutely.
And I think
a lot of times it takes getting out of that relationship and then plus time.
Yeah, and even therapy.
Yeah, to realize what happened and who you were associated with.
Yeah, and I think Dissociated probably went to other systems for comfort and to be able to have a safe space to be honest about what they were feeling. And again, that didn't happen. It was more kind of petty drama that was being brought up. I think the real issue in the situation was Team Pinata, and Dissociated had a rough time with it.
Yeah. And like, you know, it's so like I know that like Nan is non-binary and they're AFAB and things like that. But you know, they're obviously like the more masculine person in the relationship. And it's very much like whenever like a man does something seriously wrong, the wife often gets dragged into it, regardless of whether she deserved it or not. And I kind of feel like there's like a kind of similar thing going on in the situation.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, I don't know, it's just.
Yeah. I know this whole situation, it was a lot at once. I think.
Yeah, and it happened like 3 days after the whole Trisha Paytas thing. Just to put this in perspective, all of this was happening like in a week.
Yeah. maybe a few months, but it felt like a week. But it was you know, pretty close together.
Like some of the like more minor stuff came out like later, but like, you know, the video, like the original video that Anthony did, Trisha Paytas coming out, you know, the next couple of days she's trolling, you know, you got Dissociated coming out, people supporting Dissociated, people like, you know, denouncing Dissociated's partner coming out as a weird, you know, child porn fetish drawer, possibly grooming people, all alleged, by the way, don't sue me. Just it all happened in like a week.
Yeah, it was a lot. And that's what I'm saying is that like the popularity of the DID community and just like everyone that we knew as safe was suddenly, there were so many allegations against them. And there's a lot of the
allegations are just really stupid.
Yeah, I think Tim Piñata was the only allegation that was like actually concerning, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But like the allegations against Dissociated for the most part, with the exception of like racism, because I get like racism and stuff like that, but they have talked about that. I that's not my position to even talk about, so I'm not going to.
And like, you know, entropy system, like having an altar that was openly identified as Mexican, like that was its own thing. It's just like it's like, you know, some people might find some of those things concerning, and like I understand, but at the same time, it's like this is a conversation we need to be level-headed about when it comes to like alters and identity and how that plays with DID. You have to be like level-headed when talking about that, and I'm not going to make any comments either way about, you know, is it right for an alter to like identify as a race that's not theirs. It's a very nuanced conversation. There are things that I can say for sure, like if you identify as a black alter, you're in a white body, you can't speak for black people. That's something I can definitively say that I have a strong feeling about, but like I don't want to get into anything else. But it's like all this stuff is like things that would make, you know, like they're either petty or they're like valid things that we should be having a conversation about, but they're not like worth harassing people over.
Yeah, they're not being handled well.
Like honestly, I think the whole like how race plays into DID is a very interesting topic, but we're coming at it in such a hostile way. And it's just like you're not allowed to like, you know, be a part of this community without like having people yelling about how the person that you know are watching the content of is a bad person, and then petty reason. It's just like,
yeah. And I have noticed that since all of this drama started, the DID community has been a lot more gatekeepy almost,
100%.
probably to avoid a lot of fake claiming.
It's just like, I can't want, if there's any people who I think are like interesting and I'm like, oh, maybe I should subscribe to them, the very next video, like, you know, I like would go to the YouTube channel, check out to see if they have any other videos, and it's like 10 people who are fake claiming. It's like, okay, bye.
I know there's like a few systems online that it's like I want to know more about, but then everyone's just like, and this and this and this. It's like, oh, this is exhausting.
Yeah. And there shouldn't be gatekeeping for a mental disorder.
Yeah. Especially something that's so
this?
personal and individual.
What is this? The goth community? I like goth music, but dear God, do I hate the goth community.
I've heard that it's terrible.
It's like, how dare you like wearing a black dress? That's not what being goth is. It's like, okay, thank you. Yeah, that's its own thing.
Yeah, let's
anyways, you know, goths can be gatekeepy. It doesn't matter. It's like music and clothes and like, you know, movies or whatever. A mental should not be gatekeepy.
Yeah. Especially, yeah, it's so personal and like, you know, individual. It's not something that's can be gatekept.
Like, you either have it or you don't, which
Yeah.
is what I've been saying the whole time.
Yeah.
And like, also, people shouldn't be shamed for thinking they might have DID.
Yeah, definitely.
If you think you have DID and you're wrong, no one should shame you for it.
Yeah, we should do actually a whole video separate for self-diagnosing and diagnosis in general.
We can even just talk about people who were incorrect and like how that's okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, okay.
It's a good idea for a video, but
yeah.
We're talking about how I want to rip my eyes out.
Don't do that. Try
Bleep
not
that
to
if
do
you
that.
want. That was a little graphic.
No, I'm keeping that in there. It's very felt.
We should make merch and just have like a picture of me and then that quote, I want to rip my eyes out.
Okay, moving on to the allegations from Bobo & Co.
Bobo & Co. I think
I'll leave this one.
system that I just feel really bad for. They seem to be just like, you know, they're just like this like normal like UK individual who has DID, and they're like, I don't know, and then they got screwed over by the whole situation. They were another person who was kind of saying the things that I was thinking during like the beginning of the drama, where it's all like, who cares if, not who cares, but like, it doesn't matter if Trisha Paytas is wrong. And like, they really believe that Trisha was telling the truth about having DID. I'm gonna be kind of honest. The trolling afterward was unacceptable, but I think they were being genuine about how they feel.
I think so too, yeah.
And like that kind of sucks either way. And they do kind of have this habit of taking, you know, finding small things that they relate to and then like clinging on to it for dear life, saying, oh, finally I found me. And it's just like, you know, it sucks like being 30 and like having major identity issues.
Yeah. But that's the other thing that I kind of want to hit on, is that especially around the Trisha Paytas issue, I found that it was very hard to have your own opinion and not get some form of backlash for it. Like, my opinion on Trisha Paytas was that they were being genuine. If I said that to someone back in the day,
even now probably,
yeah, people would have been pretty mad at me. And I think that's like something that like at the beginning, maybe not so much anymore, but at the beginning definitely it was always like, you have to have a certain opinion, and if you don't have that certain opinion, you are absolutely 100% like wrong.
And probably a faker too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And
that wasn't
it was
appropriate.
irritating because it was mainly singlets who were saying stuff like that.
Yeah, it's mainly singlets saying a lot of stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, it's
No
unfortunate.
offense to any singlets in the audience. Thank you for educating yourself.
Don't know how educational this is becoming right now, but
I mean,
we're
at
trying.
least they're like hearing us out. We're two DIDiots having a conversation.
Yeah, that's true. But the Bobo and Co. allegations against Dissociated, saying that there was a situation in which Dissociated got triggered, Bobo and Co. brought them out to help them. Omega was front, and there was a whole situation that was kind of traumatizing for Bobo and Co.
And
I don't think.
Just to clarify for people who are out there, Omega, if I remember right, is an alter who identifies as a ghost because they hold a lot of trauma involving suicidal ideation.
Yes.
So obviously, I don't blame Bobo being upset for experiencing that.
Yeah. And that's what I was about to say, is that no one is at fault here. I don't think anyone's at fault.
Honestly,
and that's
no one's at fault here except for the people who decided to use this as an excuse to harass another human being.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to go with this, is absolutely Bobo and Co. is not at fault here, but definitely Dissociated was not at fault. They had no control over a flashback. Flashbacks are scary, and you do what you can, but you can't control a flashback. And so it's important to understand that Dissociated probably did the best that they could in the situation, but that's all you can do, is your best. And if it doesn't end well, it's unfortunate, but it's bound to happen probably at some point. And I mean, we have psych wards for a reason. If mental health was all fun and games, we wouldn't have those. You have breakdowns. And unfortunately, sometimes there's people there that don't want to witness it, but do.
And by the way, if you are in a situation where you are being exposed to somebody else's trauma and you find it upsetting, that is 100% okay. It's 100% valid. And it's 100% okay for that to be traumatic for you. You are perfectly fine. And the person who exposed you to that, you can both be in the right in that situation. Nobody has to be in the wrong. And I just want to validate people who are listening, who have been in this situation, either side of the situation. There is nothing wrong with how you experience that. Love, validity, being valid. Just wanted to put that out there because I think that's important.
Yeah, and that's what I really wanted to talk about, was not specifically Bobo and Co.'s allegations, but more about how people shouldn't have taken that as a reason to hate Dissociated, because
they shouldn't weaponize, especially since, I don't know how Bobo and Co. expressed this, but expressing your trauma and having trauma and being open about it should not, does not give you permission to use that trauma as a weapon. Trauma is not a weapon.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah. And I think it's an unfortunate situation.
Everybody had a bad experience. Nobody in this situation, people who were involved in the situation, you should have been sending both of them love and showing that they're strong, telling them they're strong and that it's amazing they got through that. You should it should have been an excuse to send love to Dissociated, not harassment.
Yeah, and it is unfortunate, and it's unfortunate that it was used to start fake claiming Dissociated. which is a very weird correlation. Like someone has a flashback, they must be faking.
Yeah, well, you know what I say, right?
What do you say?
There's nothing you can do to be fake unless you stub your toe, of course, because people with DID don't stub their toes.
Of course not. No.
Have you
Never.
stubbed your toes, Mateo?
Oh no, never. Mm-mm.
See,
No.
my point has been validated. Oh, that was a joke, by the way. For those of you who are not that involved in our community, if you breathe wrong, you're fake.
Yeah.
That's how people who fake claim treat it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm waiting for the day when we get put on the Reddit, the DID fake Reddit.
I'm not. You can tell me about it, but I'm not looking.
Yeah. Sorry for the noise in the background. Our neighbors are being weird.
Yeah, well, my house is noisy too, so same.
They're like speeding down the road in the middle of the night, so.
Yeah, that sounds like where I live. It's very similar. Lots of people just race down, the road in a 25 zone.
Oh yeah, that's how it is around here.
All right. So Bobo and Co,
I think for the most part we basically talked about Bobo and Co.
Yeah, I think they're good. I hope they're doing well because I haven't heard from them in a while.
They made a video recently.
Okay, that's good. Because the last time I checked on them, they hadn't posted much.
Oh, yeah, they have made a video recently, so.
All right, so I'm assuming they're doing okay.
Unless
the video is right. I'm dying, please send help, SOS.
No, I don't think that's what the video was, but they are on TikTok, so.
Oh yeah,
they're more active
I forgot
on
that
there.
People use TikTok. I keep forgetting that TikTok's a thing. Maybe I'm just old.
I'm old too, so it's okay. I still don't know how to use TikTok.
I haven't even been on it.
It's stay off of it at all costs if you can.
Yeah, it's kind of like Tumblr. My impression of Tumblr and TikTok are the same thing. People are addicted to it, but they desperately wish they weren't on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the next thing, we only technically have 4 more things to go over, so we're almost done.
Except for that one thing that we totally forgot.
What one thing?
We forgot it. Like just in general. Remember how I was saying we definitely will be missing something?
Oh yeah. You put me in like a state of like, wait, what did we forget? And then realizing that because we forgot it, I probably don't know. And I was like, my life flashed before my eyes there.
Oh no, I gave you another alter. You split just in that moment. And the alter's name is Ted, and they constantly are worried about forgetting their keys.
That just sounds like me.
Oh, okay, so you're Ted. Okay.
No, there is someone around the front though. I just don't know who it is. But
moving on.
So the next thing I want to talk about is the well, how do I put this? When people have recently been deciding that it's a good idea to just ask people for their diagnosis, or like if you're not diagnosed then you're not valid type thing. I really want to go over that.
Is this like the whole thing? I think Dahlia mentioned this once, where like people are being pressured to give out like medical information.
Yeah. It's like if someone came up to you and said, hey, I have cancer, would you ask them for their diagnosis?
I mean, I think they just gave me their diagnosis.
Exactly.
Oh, right. I guess there is multiple kinds of cancer. Never mind. No, that would be rude. But like,
yeah,
you don't understand though. DID is invisible, so how can I know you're not lying?
It's not
I'm
that
so
invisible. There
sorry.
are so many
Johnny's near the front.
biological.
I'm just getting more and more sarcastic because I think Johnny's near the front.
Oh no, you're good.
I
We
don't
honestly
make
could
these
use.
kind of jokes. This is like, I'm pretty sure it's Johnny.
I'm over here kind of dissociated, like,
Me
who is
too.
around the front?
This has been really hard.
Who
Okay.
am I right now? Okay, but
Hopefully
anyways,
Mateo.
huh?
I said hopefully Mateo.
Maybe. So, someone else is around. I know it, but I just don't know who. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so
So those in the audience, don't give your medical paperwork, your mental illness, or even like just like your illness in general, like whatever physical, whatever. Don't give people medical paperwork. That is an invasion of your privacy, and people are not entitled to your information. Your like illness, your mental illness, your physical illness, it is not dependent on other people believing you.
yeah. And the other thing is that it's very hard to get your diagnosis on paper for mental health. I've been diagnosed with multiple things, and I don't think any of them, with the exception of PTSD, is actually on paper. And the only reason the PTSD is on paper is because it came straight from a psych ward. But nothing else has ever been on paper, but it has been diagnosed. And getting that on paper, I think, can cost almost up to $1,000 without insurance, assuming insurance will cover it.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's also it's just such a weird. Oh, hold on, my cat is on the counter. Sorry. Raven, get down from there. Get down. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, it's don't come at me. Oh, now she's gonna tear out in the house. She's gonna jump on my face all night. What was I saying? It's an unfortunate situation where it's like, oh my goodness. Unless you have physical proof of a mental disorder, then you're not valid.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think people tend to forget that people get diagnosed because the disorder was there. It's not like the disorder comes because you got diagnosed.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's been a very prominent thing in the community from singlets.
And it's also like, I feel like a lot of people who hyperfixate on diagnosis have never like been to like a hospital, because let me just tell you, a lot of people like, you know, say, oh, you can't say you have depression unless you're diagnosed. They ask you if you have depression.
That's
they
true.
Don't like,
yeah.
They, you know, they're like, do you have depression? Yes. Okay. Here's treatment plans. That's basically it.
Yeah, they evaluate more
yes.
how much depression you have rather than whether or not you have it.
Yeah, it's like, and those are like, and it's like depression and anxiety tend to be the kind of thing where you can like trick your brain into like thinking you have it, and then it causes your brain to feel more depressed, or to feel like, you know, like kind of like when those are tend to be the mental illnesses that I notice will form just by you thinking you have it. And they just ask you if you have it.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've been to the hospital. I'm in treatment for, you know, my mental health issues. They just ask you. So it's not as like complicated as people make it out to be.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is like with schizophrenia or something, they literally just flat up ask you, do you hear voices? And it's like,
yes or no.
yeah, it's literally a yes or no question. Do you experience dissociation? Well, probably. I haven't actually been asked that, but a lot of people have been like, oh yeah, that's dissociation, after I explain it to them.
Yeah.
I don't
But
know what
yeah,
else to say about that. Just, you know, you
don't
shouldn't
give out
ask
your
people for their
medical
diagnosis.
paperwork.
Yeah.
Don't give out personal details in general. Like, at the most, I think, like, you can probably, like, use your name on social media. But, like, besides that, like, don't tell people where you live. Don't give out your medical information. Like, just, like, don't let people into that party life unless you, like, know them personally. You, like, been in the same room as them, things like that. It's just, like, it's just not safe.
Yeah. It's not.
And a lot of
And
people
it's
get
not
tricked
needed
for, like,
either.
kids. And I think that's really scary.
Yeah. And once again, even if you don't have your diagnosis on paper, you're valid. You know, if you've experienced it, if you live with it, you're valid.
You're valid.
If you have it, it's reality. That's just, if you have it, you have it.
I feel like we went off on a tangent. We were talking about YouTube drama.
Yeah, so leading on to that, Dr. Grande.
This person, okay, so this person has been called out by people who are in the psychological medical field, so I know it's not just like a me thing. I find this person very concerning.
Same,
I avoid him
honestly.
at all costs. But I remember, like, people who are kind of like in the whole Trisha Paytas drama, like people who are talking about it, kept referencing this video that he did. That was they're like, oh, it's so good, it's such a good video. And it was like, you shouldn't be talking about people's, like, you know, shouldn't be speculating on people's mental health, even if you are like a psychologist. If you like, I'm sorry, I'm dissociating.
No, you're
This
good.
person is very upsetting to me.
Let
Like,
me know if you
even
need
if
me to talk about
you
it.
shouldn't know about the, I mean, you shouldn't make speculation about people that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't do it if you're not a mental health professional. And even if you do know them and you are a mental health professional, you shouldn't be talking about it online.
Yeah.
Because that's just highly unprofessional.
Yeah. One thing that I did notice was that he uses sarcasm about some videos, which he's done with other things, but he used sarcasm to talk about Trisha Paytas video. And I think in general, that's not, you shouldn't do that
Appropriate.
about someone's mental health.
Especially, I'm going to be honest, I have a higher standard for people who are psychologists.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're supposed to be professional.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Yeah.
But the thing that bothered me about that video was he put on, he talked about the cases for DID being real and the cases for DID being fake,
Mm-hmm.
and like putting them on the same level, if that makes sense. Like, don't get me wrong, people who want to talk about DID should talk about people's reasons for why they think it's fake. That makes sense. However, a lot of it's like a lot of the time when you put it right next to reasons for why it's real, it's like having somebody say the sky is green and then putting it next to somebody who's saying the sky is blue.
Yeah.
And then, like, you know, the person who's like, it's like, well, sometimes it's yellow. It's not always blue. Yeah, it's like, but it's never fucking green. It's like that. And it's like people's reasons for why DID is fake is always something along the lines of, like, it doesn't seem realistic. Okay, there's one. Another one that's very famous is like, only certain people are diagnosing DID.
Yeah,
and
or it's
like
created.
acting like that in itself prove something, when you look at it, it's because certain psychologists just decide that they don't believe DID is real, and then other ones are like, oh, I'm worried I'm not qualified, and then other ones are like, I'm uncomfortable dealing with this. What if I get it wrong? And by the way, they don't care that much about getting things wrong, but when it's DID, they do. It's the weirdest thing.
They really do. And I kind of want to bring in a personal experience to this topic, is that there was a psychiatrist that I was like, and obviously nothing against her. I thought that she was absolutely amazing. But after she realized that the schizophrenia diagnosis wasn't really working out, she did refer me to a DID clinic, which at first I was kind of skeptical about, simply because I knew people would be like, oh, well, if you were diagnosed by a professional in the DID realm, then it's not real. But she didn't want to diagnose me with it because she was a skeptic. And people who aren't professionals on DID are either likely skeptics or just don't know enough about it to be able to diagnose it. And that's coming from personal experience. That's not, statistically on the internet. No, that's coming from personal experience. Almost everyone that I've met who was capable of diagnosing DID told me that they wouldn't diagnose it either because they wanted more time with me and they couldn't diagnose it in one session, or they were skeptical of it. So, and that's not me going in there and being like, hey, I have DID, diagnose me, just so you know.
You were talking about your symptoms.
Yeah, I was talking about my symptoms, and I think I had one person who was my therapist. Obviously, she can't diagnose, but she was the only person that I've ever met who was willing to even learn about DID. The rest of the people thought that they knew enough about it.
So it's just like, DID is one of those things where, like, the people who research DID believe us, but the other people, even people who are professionals who have degrees, they decide they don't want to believe us. And it's the weirdest fucking thing. Because the brain is the most powerful thing in the world. That's what they think. That's like their thing.
Yeah.
But like, I can't comprehend this thing, therefore it's fake. Can you imagine if they said that about any other mental illness?
Mm-hmm.
They'd be laughed out of the fucking school. They'd be like, no, you don't get a degree.
Yeah.
The thing is about mental illness is it's based entirely off of the perspective of the person who's mentally ill. You don't get to say that your feelings are wrong, or how the symptoms you're experiencing. Are you lying? You don't get to say that.
Yeah.
And like, to be frank, doing so is just like, it's just very much, I don't know, it's just anti, mental health to just blatantly not believe your patient.
Yeah. And another thing that Dr. Grande said that I had a problem with was that he was quoting Dissociated and saying that if you believe in science, then DID is real. And then he said afterwards that a lot of science disproves DID. I did have a huge problem with that because in the grand scheme of things, at least from my research, putting 2 and 2 together, there's very little research that can actually bring up points about DID that are iffy. Very little research.
And like, that doesn't disprove, in the ones, and I assume the points that are like against DID, I'm assuming, don't disprove DID as a whole, but disproves like aspects. And it's not really disproving, it's just like we're having a better understanding of what DID is.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I'm very dissociated.
No, you're good. Honestly,
This is
so
a
am I. So
topic that I hate discussing. Because you would know this. You have DID, but like, can you imagine like going up to somebody and saying, "Yeah, I'm trying to get treated. I can't get a diagnosis for DID because my mental health professional that I'm working with simply doesn't believe in it."
yeah.
And it's just like, it makes you sound like you're denying reality when people in the psychological community are just not taking us seriously, and they have a fancy piece of paper that says they're smarter than me.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it sucks, because it's like,
Yeah.
this isn't like narwhals are fake, you know. Man, I'm really not kid anymore, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm openly just gonna say I'm not kid right now. I'm gonna stop being even like trying to pretend I'm kid, if that's okay. Like,
No,
I'm
you're
gonna
good.
be real. It drives me fucking insane. Oh my gosh. Like, low-key, hear me out, okay? Hear me out. It's just like, if you don't believe in narwhals, which some people don't, I want to be clear. Some people don't believe narwhals are real. That literally affects fucking no one. If you don't believe DID is real, you're affecting fucking like real human beings.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, you believing in DID or not believing in DID doesn't change the fact that I'm like fucking like struggling every single day of my life.
Yeah. And I've had like psychiatrists like blatantly tell me you don't have PTSD or you don't have DID because either it's not real or you just can't have it because you haven't experienced enough trauma or something. And it's hard to deal with that.
I just hate people, okay?
Yeah, honestly valid, so do I.
I'm gonna take that out of context and be like, oh my gosh, they hate people. Nah.
It's gonna become a TikTok audio.
What, me? Like, you know what? I should just, me as a person should just be a TikTok audio.
That would be hilarious.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, I'm just like, it's also just the most like anti-science thing ever, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, science isn't about disproving things. You have to be like open-minded to be a scientist, because you have to be willing with the idea that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Saying something doesn't exist, like point blank, that's not really a science thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't get me wrong, there are things you can say it's statistically unlikely because of like facts, like statistics, things that you've gathered. But at the same time, if someone found out that your statistics were based off of a flawed system, you can't go like, no. You have to be like, oh, really? Maybe I should try again.
Yeah.
You can't prove a negative, man.
Yeah, it's...
Oh, kid was so professional. Now you're dealing with me.
Who?
Jonathan, obviously. Why aren't you paying attention? Just kidding.
I'm sorry.
No, it's like fine. It's whatever. I don't care.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
Welcome. Me.
I hope you're having the time of your life here.
No, I'm not. I'm miserable.
I'm sorry.
I'm from this fucker, okay? Allegedly, he's a douchebag. You have to say allegedly a lot or you'll get sued, right? Allegedly, he's a stupid piece of shit. Cut that out. That's a terrible thing to say. Dolly is gonna be so bad.
You always say that. You're always like, Dahlia's gonna be so mad at me.
I called somebody a stupid piece of shit on the internet.
We literally met each other because you messaged me saying Dahlia's gonna be mad at me.
Oh my gosh. I get it. She's always mad at me. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's move on to a different piece of drama. Maybe one that's juicier.
Do you want to keep up with the drama, or do you want
I don't
to?
know. Oh wait, isn't like the rest of the stuff like not petty?
The rest of the stuff that I was gonna go over, well, now I have to remember it. Oh, it was like people saying that Dissociated was stealing drama. Trauma,
my
not
God.
drama.
No. This is perfect. I love it.
Okay.
Oh my God. Stealing trauma. Delicious.
Let's talk
Mateo,
about
did
it
you
then.
know that you can't have the same trauma as someone else?
Well,
like
that
a
sucks. I
fact.
must be faking.
Absolutely. What, did you stub your toe once?
Nobody needs to know about that one time.
At one time? Well, I stubbed my toe, so obviously you're lying.
Sorry, I stole your trauma.
You stole my trauma, Mateo.
I'm so sorry. I must repent of my sins.
Anyways, I need to control what I say because I say the most vulgar shit. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I'll have fun time editing.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so she stole people's trauma. Facts. No. You don't understand. Once Dissociated said she had a bad relationship with someone, but I have a bad relationship with someone, so obviously she's a liar.
This is gonna be such like a curveball. Like, it was so professional, and now it's just like sarcasm.
So professional, and you're so mean. Oh my gosh, did you know that Dahlia is faking? Because like Jonathan is totally fake.
Jonathan is too charismatic.
And some of the sounds just so irrelevant. Oh my god.
Okay. Yeah, I'm faking because I have an altar that is a shape-shifting horse.
How dare you, you liar! I'm putting you on what was it? It was DIDiots r/DID idiots.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Mateo is a altar who's a horse. Liar! Okay, we gotta stop now. So, people accused Dissociated of stealing other people's trauma, and I have no idea what that fucking means. I know, like, you were talking to Kid about this earlier, and I kind of got glimpses of it, and all I can think of is, what the fuck does that even mean?
So basically, some people on Facebook were
saying, oh, we're going to Facebook now. It's not even a site that like normal people are on. Like no normal person's on Facebook. They're all like over the age of 50, which I mean, 50-year-old people can be normal. That came off as rude, but I'm gonna say it again anyways. People over 50, they're not normal. And then conspiracy theorists. Those are the two people who are on Facebook.
But some people on Facebook were saying that Dissociated had read about their trauma and then basically copied it.
Well, aren't they just entitled? I know that's like rude because maybe you're just paranoid, but oh my gosh, you don't understand. Dissociated said that she broke her arm once, and I broke my arm. Trauma stealer.
I'm sure there was more complicated stuff to it than that, but you have the right idea.
It's like I can't. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm also like heavily dissociated. If you can't tell, that's why everything's so funny right now.
No, I get it. I'm like, I can process that things are funny, but then like 2 seconds after I've processed it, it's completely gone from my brain.
For some reason, I don't know why, but when I get dissociated, everything is funny to me. And I know it is specifically kind of like a me thing. I know it happens to a couple of my other alters, but like other alters get really quiet when they're dissociating and they can't form words together. To me, it makes everything funny.
There's some alters who are like that in our system, but
okay,
like me,
it's not just me. Good. Okay.
Yeah, like I think Reagan is like that a lot. I'm pretty sure it's Reagan, and like sometimes, no, I think it's mainly Reagan.
I think
and then
you're gonna have to put like a disclaimer at this point where it's like things go off the deep
off rails.
Skip to here for when things are stable again. You know, like put a timestamp.
Well, we basically went over everything. So.
Well, when are we gonna talk about some kind of sleepover? I think.
Oh, the allegations of axolotl in a trench coat.
Okay. We're getting to the point of my knowledge of like DID YouTubers. I have never heard of this individual.
Honestly, neither did I until I heard about the drama surrounding it.
Okay. I mean, do you want to say anything more about the funny part before we get into that? What trauma did dissociated steal from you?
From me?
Yeah.
Oh, it was playground trauma.
Playground trauma. You're not as like willing to just say bullshit as much as I am. You see, one time a bully stole my pen, and then dissociated said a bully stole her pen, and now I feel like she stole my trauma. This is so disrespectful. This person's probably just like paranoid, but I can't help but make fun of it. It's such a weird accusation.
Oh my gosh. I love you. Okay.
I love you too.
Oh, thank you.
No, that's just me, not you.
What?
I love me too.
Oh. Well, good. You love yourself. That's great.
You're great, Mateo, but you let me rant to you about something very stupid. Dolly, you're getting mad at me. She actually never did, by the way. I like exaggerate how much she gets mad at me, but she does get mad at me sometimes.
You mean you came to me begging for help only for nothing to happen?
The thing is, I went into a chat room, okay, that was like meant for like venting, and I vented about that specific person. We definitely need to cut this out because like this is just irrelevant. But you should know, I vented about that specific person. I like used their username and said this person made me angry, and Dahlia went in and deleted those. Said, you can't just shame people in a public chat room.
I mean, valid, but
you don't understand. I'm so bad.
Okay.
Okay. So sleepover time. I also This is such a serious topic. I should not be out for this. Oh well, let's go for it anyways, and we need to re-record. Or you can have me do an apology video where I like am just parroting Jake Paul. Or wait, which one was the one that did the famous apology video?
It was Jake Paul.
I have made a repeated and blah 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 lapse in my judgment. The lapse in my judgment lie. See, I talked about a serious situation, and then I kept screaming about how I stubbed my toe, and that was wrong and very bad. And then I make up an excuse that completely vindicates me if you accept it, but most people will hate it. Like, you see, Dahlia did it. I blame Dahlia. I'm not taking system responsibility. It was Dahlia the whole time.
Let's not do that.
Okay.
Let's try to stay focused.
Okay.
So basically,
I'm calming down.
okay, drink some tea or something. What was I saying? So there was an allegation saying that basically Dissociated had claimed that axolotls in a trench coat had done something that axolotls in a trench coat denied doing. And obviously, because axolotls in a trench coat was the first person to ever talk about this, they were believed. So how do you feel about that? Huh?
What was it?
Essay.
Okay. Well, when I hear that, if I may be frank, maybe I don't know why I say maybe, if I may be frank, because like because I'm always frank. Anyways, what if Axolotl, we'll just call them that, right? Axolotl was accused of sexual harassment and decided to escalate it to make it seem absurd. Because I could see someone accidentally sexually harassing someone, but like, you know, but they accuse me of sexual assault, which is like different. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's, I mean,
should have, like, if the victim wasn't willing to come out, you probably shouldn't have said anything.
It was one of those situations that seems so petty again that it shouldn't have been brought up.
It shouldn't have been. And
because
then,
when
of
you
course,
hear,
like, people love mocking people who, like, claim they were sexually assaulted. So, you know, that harassment. Yeah, this isn't as funny. Let's go back to feeling so much trauma. I just remember you were talking to Dahlia, and like you said something about a person saying the inner world is based off of a book that was a book of conspiracy theories. It's like the same vibe.
yes, we're not going to go over that book in this because that's just way overwhelming for me and I could not handle that. I read that book and I got so triggered from it.
You read it? Oh my gosh. Get it? Like off of like Amazon or something? Should I read the book?
No, I would not recommend reading the book. Do not read the book.
I want to now.
No, don't. It's literally the worst book to ever exist. And I don't mean in rating. I mean in the sense that it literally teaches you how to traumatize a person. It's literally a handbook for how to traumatize a person. It's the worst book on planet Earth.
I thought when you're saying it's like the worst book, I thought you were gonna say that it was kind of like what's it called? Like Turner Diaries or something, or like Circus of the Saints, or you know, like one of those alt-right books. Sorry, I shouldn't be bringing this up on your channel. This is too controversial. I thought it was just gonna be like a book that's like about like some, but no, it's just is it like a story or is it just a guide?
It's a guide. It's a guide to how people mind control other people.
That is fascinating. Why would you write that? Because you know it's full of misinformation.
Yeah, I tried to figure out why the dude wrote it, and it's just an awful book. I hate it so much.
It's weird that someone brought it up. Anyway,
yeah, Granddad's
what can we talk about now? Like, now that we've basically covered all the drama.
I think we need to make a separate video for you and me, and then we can talk more freely about shit there.
It's just the premise is just me being a complete outrage. Excuse me.
After this, we can come up with a video idea together.
Yeah. How should we, what do you want to talk about now when it comes to this drama? Gosh, you really should just cut the entire end out, and then I will just like pretend to be kid.
No.
Feel nothing. Okay, let's make an ending to this.
That's not gonna work.
It's really not, but we can pretend.
You guys are so different.
Yeah, you couldn't have picked an altar more different from me. I mean, you didn't pick it, but I'm just saying.
Okay, but I think we did go over all of the drama. So, I was going to ask you, do you want to put in your own point of view of the drama?
Oh, from my perspective? Well, I
Yeah.
didn't really exist during the time that it happened. And let's see, my hot take, Johnny's perspective. Okay. Gosh, people are gonna say I'm fake just because I called myself Johnny. Like I'm like trying to put on Jonathan or something. No, I don't know. Let's see, my perspective. Most people are whiny bitches. It like fucking sucks. Everybody's a dick to each other, and like when you're being a dick to each other, it should be at least funny. This is just depressing.
I can't. That was so different. It's like kid was like actually heartfelt, and then you're just like, everyone sucks.
Yeah, well, like hear me out. Like if you're gonna be a dick to somebody, there should be at least one duck involved. Like, you don't understand. If I was dissociated, this would be done way differently. But people are like, "You're faking, duck." What does this mean? It's just as unsolicited as your fucking opinion. And then
I
would
hope you
probably
know
say
we
a
put
bunch
ducks
of
in the
things
logo
that, like,
because
could
of
be
you.
construed as homophobic, but I like guys, so it doesn't matter.
I hope you know we put ducks in the logo for you.
Yes, I'm aware.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Let's see, duck. Honestly, the drama would have been way different if it was just me. Basically, if every single person was just me, there'd be a lot more ducks involved.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, honestly, like, I'm more of a dick with a purpose. I don't just go around, like, say, I don't just, like, go around doing something that would genuinely hurt someone's feelings, unless they really piss me off. And then Dolly would yell at me and then apologize on my behalf and then say, "Oh, yeah, Johnny's a little bitch. You should really not take him seriously." But of course, she will stand there and correct her text over and over and over again because she really just wants to call me a little bitch, but she thinks that's inappropriate.
That was so off topic. Anyway.
No. I'm just saying it's relevant. You're asking me about the thing. I think they're not being dicks with a purpose.
Okay. So you think that people should be dicks with a purpose?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like accusing people of lying about their mental illness, that's just you being a dick. Being a dick with a purpose would be like if somebody said I was faking, I send them a duck.
Okay. I see where you're going with this. I like your thinking.
Yeah. Nobody's gonna.
I'm gonna start quoting that now. That's my life quote.
Claims, they get a duck.
That's my life motto. Be a dick with a purpose.
There we go. Yeah, no, that's my motto. You're taking it away from me. Well, my motto is like low key. Suck my dick. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like it might come off as homophobic, but like honestly, just I don't fucking care. Suck my dick.
How is that homophobic?
Well, because like you're implying that like sucking a dick is shameful and that's like homophobic.
I've never heard that before.
I have.
Oh.
Partly from Dahlia.
I would beg to differ, but okay.
Anyways, yeah. You can bleep that if you want. I know it's graphic.
It's fine.
You can cut all this out if you want. It's probably good that I'm not in this video.
I'm not cutting this out. This is great.
So just so she did, point of advice. Next time you have to explain yourself, get yourself a thumbnail that makes it look like you're about to explain yourself, and then just put a compilation of ducks.
There you go. That's a great idea.
And if people say you're liars, say what? Lying about ducks?
You have great advice.
Do you not like ducks? Oh my gosh, I think this person hates ducks.
You're duckophobic.
Yeah, you're duck phobic, exactly.
Otherwise, I think we basically went over everything.
We went over everything. I think Kid explained some alternatives, which was the main point of this. Imagine how different this video would be if it was me. We wouldn't get anything done.
Well, it was fun having you for a little bit.
Okay. Well, okay, so conclusion. Don't fake claim people. Blame Trisha Paytas for spreading misinformation, not thinking she might have DID. Ducks.
Ducks, yes.
Just so she did. I feel really bad for you.
Yes.
Yep, that's about it.
All right, I shall do the outro. Thank you for listening to this podcast with Kid, Mateo, and Johnny. I'm gonna call this the Three Musketeers.
I don't think
and
you should. I think you should be very serious in the name.
I need to be serious in the name. Maybe I'll just put the Three Musketeers at the bottom in the description.
Put in the description. 3 points of view.
3 points of
From
view.
2 systems.
Yeah, we talked about the drama. Once again, the disclaimer does still apply. As always, don't do anything stupid. We are not mental health professionals. We are just people with experience from our personal experience, you know. Yeah, do you want to add anything to that?
Be a dick with a purpose.
Yes, be a dick with a purpose. And that's that. So thank you for listening to this podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.